Hey everyone, welcome back. And this is going to be the first episode of reading Reddit stories with my Minecraft world. So today we're keeping things nice and calm. I have 5 wild Reddit stories lined up for us to dive into while I go gather some resources and explore. Since I don't have any social media whatsoever, the comment section right here is the only place we have to connect. So if you have any crazy personal stories, Reddit links, or recommendations you want me to read and judge in a future video, definitely paste them in the comments below. So dim the lights, grab a warm drink, and get comfortable, and let's jump straight in story number 1. Now, on to our first story. Breaking up with my boyfriend after finding out what he was doing while I was asleep? Question mark. I'm 21 female and my boyfriend is 23 male. We've been together for almost 2 years and until recently, I genuinely thought he was the person I was going to marry. We lived together in a small apartment and for the most part, we had a really good relationship. About 3 months ago, he started acting differently. He became weirdly protective of his phone. If I walked into the room I was texting, he'd immediately lock it. He also started sleeping with his phone underneath his pillow. That's kind of weird, but continuing, I asked him about it once and he laughed and said he was being paranoid. I trusted him, so I dropped it. Then one night I woke up around 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. He wasn't beside me. I walked into the living room and saw him sitting on the sofa with his phone. He looked up and immediately locked it. I asked what he was doing. He said he couldn't sleep, but I didn't think much of it. But the next morning, I noticed something strange. He had changed his phone password. That was when I started getting suspicious. A week later, he told me he was going out with his friends. He got dressed up more than usual, put on cologne, and spent about half an hour doing his hair. I joked, "Who are you trying to impress?" He laughed. "Obviously you." He left around 8 p.m. At around midnight, I received a message from an unknown number. It said, "You really need to ask your boyfriend where he was tonight." I thought it was someone messing with me. I replied, "Who is this?" He didn't answer. Instead, he sent me a photo. It was my boyfriend standing outside a hotel with another woman. I felt sick. I called him immediately. No answer. I called again. Nothing. At around 2 a.m., he finally came home. I showed him the photo. He just stared at it. Then he said something I wasn't expecting. "That's my sister." I didn't believe him. He told me she recently moved back into the country and hadn't told me because they had a huge argument. I asked him why they were outside a hotel. He said she was staying there temporarily. I wanted to believe him, so I did. For about 3 days. Then I found the same woman on Instagram. She wasn't his sister, she was someone he'd worked with. I confronted him. He thought he immediately lied, but he swore they hadn't slept together. He said they only been talking. I asked why he was meeting her at a hotel. He said, "Because I knew you'd get upset." That's kind of weird though. If you know your partner is upset about something, but then maybe it's an issue for her, but then meeting this person at a hotel is definitely giving weird vibes. Considering it's a hotel, and second, he met her at night from what Opie said earlier. This is definitely, there's something going on the background, so let's read again. That sentence completely broke something inside me. Not because of a hotel, because he had already decided that hiding things from me was easier than telling the truth. I packed a bag and went to stay with my mom. He called me constantly, hundreds of messages. He kept saying he loved me and that he made one stupid mistake. Then 2 days later, the other woman contacted me. She sent me screenshots. Apparently, they'd be talking for 6 months. They were messages from nights where I'd be lying next to him in bed, messages he sent while I was asleep, and then I saw something that made me realize the hotel wasn't even the worst part. One message from him said, "She had no idea I'm planning to leave her." I stared at the message for ages, because I'd been sitting at home thinking I was trying to save our relationship. Meanwhile, he'd already decided it was over. I didn't confront him about the screenshots, I just sent one message. You don't have to worry about me leaving anymore. I've already left. I blocked him. He eventually contacted my mom and asked her to convince me to talk to him. She told him no. It's been 3 weeks now. I still miss him, and that's the part I'm struggling with. Because I know he treated me horribly, but I still miss the person I thought he was. So, Reddit, should I give him another chance? Now, to answer your question, absolutely not. The part where he called his co-worker his sister, texted her while sleeping next to you, and said he was planning to leave you anyway. So giving him another chance, it is not forgiveness. You're just sabotaging yourself for giving yourself pain in the long run. And the red flag wasn't just the hotel. It was him saying he hid things because he knew you'd get upset. That means he already knew he was doing something wrong and chose his own comfort over than telling her the truth. And I think she handled this perfectly. She set her boundaries and cut him off. And bonus points for the girl that said that Senda, his apparent partner, that sent screenshots. She was still wrong for that, but at least she made an effort to tell about the cheating. But they were still both in the wrong for that, and thank goodness OP got away from that horrible man. And yeah, but they're still so young. She's 21 and he's 23. I feel like it's not him taking things, I feel like it's him not taking things seriously. I mean, they're still both young, but that still does not excuse the cheating. And they've been together for 2 years. I believe she was 19 and then he was 21. So, but that still doesn't excuse him doing his wrongdoings, like cheating and lying to her. But he definitely isn't taking this seriously, and thank goodness she left for that. Now, on to the second story from that Am I the A-hole subreddit? Am I the a-hole for taking away a toy from my wife's 3-year-old nephew after he punched my 11-month-old daughter twice? My wife's sister and her husband came from Korea for a 1.5-month visit together with a 3-year-old son and daughter. Their son is uncontrollable, does whatever he wants, and does not listen to his parents. When he does something wrong, they try to talk to him, but he ignores them. He does not understand no and does not care if you are upset or have a tense voice. He just laughs. I think he just does not understand because he was not taught. But maybe there is more to it. I'm not sure yet. I can see how much effort they put him into talking, but it does not work. I think boys need discipline and understanding of actions and consequences at the stage. Otherwise, they will go bananas. Bananas is crazy. One day, my 11-month-old called to him, and I was looking to see what was going to happen when no one was around except me. She sat in front of him, and all of a sudden, he punched her in the face. To my surprise, instead of facing consequences, he got rewarded by his mom reading him a book upstairs. Of course, she explained that the baby is small and that is bad to do that. This moment confirmed an older suspicion I had. The boy does not get disciplined, though some might say I do not know everything, and it is true that I do not. But what I do know is that their reaction to this was wrong. Moving forward, he likes to play with the old toy kitchen that my 9-year-old has in the bedroom, and they decided to bring it down to the living room so he could play. While he was playing, my 11-month-old crawled up to the kitchen and started to play too. This time, I visibly understood that he did not want to share it, and he punched her again. This time, I came over and took away the kitchen, saying, "No more kitchen for you." He cried, of course, so they took him out of the playground to calm him down. Now, for the dad, I assume it's a dad, right? That they definitely did good. It's like, separate it. If you punch my daughter again, I will take this away from you so that the kid can learn consequences of his actions, stuff like that. My wife confronted me, visibly frustrated. She said he is just a boy and that I do not understand how to raise two siblings of the same age. Maybe I do not, I said, but he should not have been rewarded for this behavior. Instead, he should have been disciplined. This is not your place, she said. I replied, this is exactly my place. This is my house, my kitchen, and this is the second time he punched my daughter. His parents did not discipline him and instead reward him for this behavior. So I did it. Everyone heard this. I created an uncomfortable environment because I said it out loud. But at the same time, I think their boy should start facing consequences for misbehavior. I have never raised a boy, and I might be utterly wrong. And yet my inner voice tells me that there is some truth to what I said. A boy has to get to face consequences. Now, I do agree with him, and he is definitely not the a-hole. I think really there's no one really in the wrong for this, as I feel like the parents of the child might be overwhelmed since, as what Opie said earlier, the boy is uncontrollable, and they also have another child, a daughter, I believe, um from the people from Korea, because they said they came to Korea or is from Korea, I believe, and I think he did the right thing, because as they get older, and as of now, the kid is still uncontrollable. So even if he grows up, or as the child ages, the behavior, even if, well, it is not really corrected, he's not disciplined. So in the future, it might be even more difficult for their parents to for the child's parent to control him, just because of getting older, and yeah, such like that. I think what OP needs to say, well, he already said it really, but I think the wife needs to learn that she needs to grow a bone. Grow a bone is not even right. To basically learn that, oh, my child is I'm the child's protector. That's my daughter. Of course, I would stick up for her. But instead, the wife did that. Instead of, you know, protecting and helping her daughter, she instead wanted to discipline or be inside with the boy instead of her husband. And I think she's wrong for that. But I do know, because of relatives and wanting to save face, she can think that. But if that was me, I would be like, oh, you're not punching my daughter. Who are you? Get out of my house. Go back to your country. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, you can't really blame the boy since he did not know consequences, and he's still a 3-year-old. And hopefully in the future that the parents can contain him, since getting into kindergarten or preschool, yeah, he's definitely not passing. So yeah, I think that's it. Now, on to the third story. I found my son's notebook. I don't think me and my wife are safe. My son turned 14 recently. He used to be a happy kid. He loved playing outside, playing video games, hanging out with his friends, just a completely normal preteen. I think he was 12 or 13 when things started to change. He spent more time inside. Maybe he was playing video games, but I wouldn't know because he would always be locked away inside his room. Started dressing in all black. I asked him why he didn't like his old superhero shirts anymore, and it broke my heart when his response was, "Superheroes are stupid." Before shutting before shutting his door in my face. I talked to my wife about it, but I think she was in denial. Boys will be boys, she said. Everyone has to grow up at some point. It hurt to hear, mainly because a part of me knew. I saw the signs, how he seemed to be attracted to darkness, how the light in his room never seemed to be on. It was always dirty in there. Empty energy, drink cans, snack wrappers everywhere. I tried to look past it. I tried to believe that this was just a phase. But the black metal, angry, hateful music that always blasts from that room was enough to drive me to the brink of madness. I tried my best to ignore it, but it was disrupting our peace. I wanted to approach in a helpful, positive way. I'd always ask if he'd care to join me on a walk in the park. Maybe we could catch a movie together. Hell, maybe we could even play catch in the backyard. He rejected every approach. It quite literally seemed like he hated us. The dinners were awkward and almost silent. We tried talking to him about school, but he was so avoidant. We found out why that was when reports cards came in. He was failing nearly every single class. It caused a lot of arguments. If we failed, it meant we failed. And us failing is what I think caused a lot of tension. We became more strict. Set bedtimes, no video games until his schoolwork was done, no more energy drinks, and no more seclusion. We insisted on him spending more time with us, whether he liked it or not. We didn't know what it was that was causing him this change in him. But I'd be damned if I was gonna stand by and watch him slip further and further away. I couldn't stop thinking about who he used to be. That love that didn't seem to come around as often. Those Christmas mornings where he looked at me and my wife with nothing but love and affection. That love seemed to turn to hatred after we tightened our grip on him, though. I wanted to blame it on hormones, but his hatefulness exceeded normal teenage angst. He started cursing at us, screaming until his vocal cords would tear. We even had a few physical alterations because I wasn't going to be respected in my own house. Grounding wouldn't work. He liked to be alone. It was like a reward to him. So instead, I made him do yard work. Cut grass, weed whack, whatever I could think of. That's when I think something truly broke within him. He acted cheerful, but his words were full of resentment. I can't wait for you to die so I can have the house. I wish you understood how much I truly hate you. When I turn 18, you two will never see me again. He said these things like he was discussing breakfast, like it was completely normal. At this point, my wife was starting to see what I saw. Every now and again, we'd catch him scribbling in a notebook. Anytime he saw us watching, he'd either put it away or go and take it to his room with him. One night in particular, though, I woke up at around 2 a.m. in the morning. It felt like I was being watched, like my body knew. My eyes scanned the room and there he was, standing in the corner of the room in front of our bed, watching us and scribbling in that notebook. "Go back to sleep, Daddy," he giggled. He hadn't called me that since he was 5 or 6. It felt like there was a stack of cinder blocks on my chest. I asked what he was doing, and he didn't respond. I asked him to go back to bed, and he sighed like I was inconveniencing him and stomped out of the room. That night was the last straw. I intended to look into counseling as soon as I could next day. I did what I promised myself I'd do and set up the appointment, but when I went to his room and told him about it, I found the room empty. It smelled musty in there. The sheets were mangled and balled up on the bed. Trash littered the ground on his nightstand, but his desk was completely clean. On it rested that notebook he'd been scribbling in recently. I couldn't help myself. I had to know. I had to see what he was writing. I knew it was about us, but nothing could have prepared me for what I read. He detailed his plans to kill us. I don't even want to write what he said he'd do. It was graphic. It was gruesome. And in that same messy handwriting that he never seemed to grow out of, my jaw dropped more and more with each paragraph. My heart raced faster and faster, but before I could finish, I heard a toilet flushing in the hallway. I couldn't move. I was frozen in shock. I heard his black combat boots approaching. I heard that door open. And I heard that giggle that I hadn't heard in what felt like years. It was malicious this time, more sinister. I couldn't face him. The notebook shook in my hands as I gripped tighter and tighter. Daddy, he whispered, aren't I good writer? Now, this is really interesting. It's giving like horror type of vibes. It did say here at the top, says fiction, so it's not real, but that's kind of still scary though. I feel like, they're both in the wrong because I think the parents take, if this was real, but I'm treating it as it was real and judging it as if it were real, the parents definitely need to go to therapy instead of, what they were doing now. Since, like, they need to go to counseling. I'm pretty sure they did mention counseling. Is it even counseling earlier? I don't know. Can't remember, sorry. But, yeah, I feel like they shouldn't have done that, what they did. And they needed to have, like, counseling and therapy for him, since I feel like it's also because of internet that happened. But yeah, I don't really have to say anything about it. But if it were real, he should definitely call the police and alert his wife and like have a talk to him about it, because let's be serious, what is a 13-year-old gonna do to two adults really? And it did say here it's 13, but he also says here years have passed for either, but 13. What is a 13, 15-year-old boy going to do to you? Like, you're a full grown adult, I'm pretty sure that you can protect yourself against a teenager. So, yeah, that's really my take on it. Now, on to our first story. My husband has been secretly paying his ex-wife's mortgage for 3 years on a house I've never seen. I need to preface this by saying my husband, we'll call him Mark, has always been the responsible one in our marriage. He handled our budget, pays the bills, check every expense in our spreadsheet. I trusted that completely, which honestly is probably how this went unnoticed for so long. Mark was married before me, briefly in his 20s, to a woman named Diane. They split amicably. No kids, no house together as far as I ever knew. He mentioned her name maybe five times total in 8 years we've been together. I never had a reason to think about her at all. Last month, our bank flagged about some unusual activity while I was reviewing our joint statements for taxes. A recurring monthly transfer. Same amount, same date, every single month. Going out to an account I didn't recognize, I asked Mark about it, expecting some boring explanation. A subscription, a forgotten bill, something normal. He got quiet. Then he told me it was Diane's mortgage payment. I asked him to explain because nothing about that sentence made sense to me. He said that when they divorced, he'd agree to help her with the house temporarily until she got back on her feet financially. That temporary arrangement started 6 years ago. He'd been paying her mortgage in full for the last 3 years specifically, which is the entire back half of her marriage, without ever mentioning it to me. That's kind of weird because that was 6 years ago and he's still paying it. Like, how rich is this guy? What's his job? Also, I heard that IT people is rich. That's why people have kids in there have like big ass houses because they like work in IT or like something computer or something. But they have also have such big families. Continuing, I asked him how much money we're talking about. Over 3 years, at the amount showing on our statement, it comes out to just under $40,000. I mean, I'm glad that it is under $40,000 for OP, but it's still $40,000. We could have bought a car from that. I actually don't know. For I'm pretty sure BYD sells one of Seagull, right? BYD Seagull for like 10K on China, and on international it's 20K, and on US it's 100K tariff, and then means it's gonna be 40K. So technically, you could say you could buy a car from that. From my logic. No, back to what I was talking about again. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. Where was I again? Alright. $40,000 of our joint money going towards a house I've never seen. Joint money? She was working? Hell nah. If that was me, oh, give me that bag. Give me that money bag, woman. Have I swear before I... Yo, tell me if I swear before I was not paying attention to my words. $40,000 of our joint money going towards a house I have never seen a single photo of. Owned by a woman I've met maybe twice, without my knowledge or consent, the entire time we've been married. Mark's explanation was that he didn't want me to worry. Oh, he didn't want to worry me. Okay. And that he planned to stop eventually, once Diane was more stable. I asked him what stable ever meant, since apparently 3 years was enough to hit whatever invisible finish line he had in mind. Ooh, she clocked that. But honestly, that would have been me. Because 3 years, damn, 3 years I could have bought something. You could have gone to like Bahamas in that money. Like 3 years, like she's been finding this Diana job for like 3 years. Like, what's going on? Anyways, I'm still living in the same house as him right now, and I genuinely don't know how to look at him the same way. This isn't a small secret. This is nearly a decade of ongoing financial relationship with his ex-wife that he actively hid from me, using money that was supposed to be ours. I haven't told my family yet. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do next. I just keep replaying every joint financial conversation we've ever had, wondering what else he got left out. So tell me, is there any version of this that isn't a deal breaker, or does secretly funding your ex-wife's mortgage for 3 years inside your current marriage and the conversation immediately? And yeah, it does say here nonfiction yet again, yes. But damn, that's crazy. For me, I would never trust him because that was so devastating. Because imagine, trusting someone and they do that to you. And from their ex-wife specifically, like, can you spend that money on your current wife, which is OP right here? Like, my genuine reaction, really? And I think he's caught up in his feelings. And I can't get out of it. Sorry. That was Matt. Matt is in his feelings and I can't get out of it. Anyways, I feel like he is committed to her because things didn't work out between them. It says early 20s with romance, and yeah, I think he wanted to help her because he felt guilty, young love, some sort of that. But at this point, it has got to stop because at this point, it's just free money. It's free money, and I feel like Diane knows that this will never stop. And I feel like he also knows it won't stop unless OP does something about it. So, yeah. Also, I keep ending it with, yeah, I feel like it's just so weird. Whoa, now we're on the last story, which is story number 5, and this is kind of crazy if I do say myself. Ball knowledge. Anyway, my wife has been secretly homeschooling her daughter a completely different religion for 3 years. I found out from my own kid. I need to explain this carefully because it still doesn't feel real to me. My wife, we call her Melissa, has handled most of her daughter's schooling since we made the decision to homeschool when she was 7. I work long hours, she manages the curriculum, and I trusted that completely because Melissa has always been organized and thorough about everything. How do you even say it? Thorough, thorough, thorough about everything. Our daughter is 10 now. Last weekend, we were at my parents' house for Sunday dinner, which has always included grace before the meal, standard stuff we've done for her entire life. My daughter, out of nowhere, asked if she could say a different kind of blessing instead, one she had been always says at home. Then she recited something none of us had ever heard of before, in a tone like it was completely normal, something she'd clearly said 100 of times. My mom looked at me, confused. I looked at Melissa. Melissa's face went pale. Later that night, I asked my daughter more questions, gently, trying to understand what I just witnessed. She told me, completely casually, that she and mom do real school stuff in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, they do spiritual studies, which involve specific readings, specific practices, and specific beliefs entirely different from the faith Melissa and I had always practiced together as a couple. I confronted Melissa immediately. She admitted everything. 3 years ago, she quietly started exploring a different belief system on her own, something she'd never once mentioned to me. And instead of ever bringing it up, she began incorporating it directly into her daughter's homeschool curriculum every single day for about 3 years, without me knowing any of it was happening. She said, and I'm quoting this exactly, I didn't think you understand, so it was just easier to keep it separate. Separate meaning hidden. Separate meaning our daughter has spent 3 years being raised in part on beliefs I never agreed to, never discussed, and has never even knew existed in our own house. I asked her how she managed to hide something this significant for 3 years. 3 years. She said, simply used in the mornings for anything I might ask about or check on, and kept the afternoons while I was still at work for everything else. It's kind of smart, honestly, for the wife. Honestly, kind of smart, schedule. I'm not upset about the specific beliefs themselves. I'm upset my wife made a fundamental decision about how our child is being raised spiritually and educationally, and ran an entire secret curriculum under my own roof for 3 years rather than ever including me in the conversation. We are currently sleeping in separate rooms while we figure out what happens next. Our daughter has no idea any of this is a problem, since to her, this has been simply normal life the entire time. So tell me, is this conversation we can actually recover from, or did hiding this for 3 years already answer that question? Now, I think for this religion, it's kind of complicated, because I firmly believe religion is used politically, but I don't want to get to that. But it does say here that he's fine with the belief. It's just that why hid it from him, and I agree from that. Why hid it from him if it's fine. Now they didn't specifically name the religion, but I think they're Christian, and it's a different religion that they're practicing. And unless this is not a real religion, if it is a cult, I would definitely be mad, because it's a cult. It's a cult. I mean, is there anything that comes good with any cult? Because yeah, it because okay, so someone said here. Sorry, can I form my thoughts? In the in the what is this? Y'all, I'm gonna screenshot. Maybe I'll make this an overlay. In the renating children to any religion or cult should be illegal. I completely agree in that because you know they're children. They should not know any. They do not know any better. And yeah, it's really unfortunate that this happens because it's but they said their daughter is now 8 years old and it has been going on for years, so 5 till 8 this has been happening. And I completely feel bad for the child as like they got caught up into this and yeah, it's just really not consensual. I mean, um really any a child does is like formed by their parents. So yeah, I feel like also the mom needs to do something because what she's doing right now is definitely not safe. I feel like, maybe there are underlying causes that cause for this to happen. And they need to fix that by going to therapy or, to I'm not saying faith because I'm not religious, guys. I'm an atheist if I do say for myself. It's just that my country is religious and like I have to say, oh, I am so religious. Okay, but I respect each other's religions, guys. I respect mine that I'm an atheist. Okay, I don't really want to get into that. So yeah, but I this is such a hard line because you know treating their child like that should not be acceptable. And I feel like the mom has underlying, problems. And this is definitely a betrayal on both the child and the husband's part. But they never said if Melissa was suffering problems. But I'm thinking she's not thinking straight if she decided to do that to her own daughter and, not inform her partner about it. Now we all finished reading and listening and judging all the 5 stories, and now we have finally reached the end. So this concludes the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed because I definitely enjoyed it. If you guys go from the first part to now, you can see how charismatic I got when the stories went on. Cause I don't know, I was just feeling like I could talk to myself right now. And yeah, hopefully this improves my speaking skills because it definitely does. I don't know why. Yet yeah, I'll see you guys in the next shorty story. And hope you guys fall asleep to this. Hope you guys are still here till the end of the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And also PS, tomorrow when I posted this, because it's gonna take a long time to upload, there is gonna be a no commentary video coming in. So if you just want to chill without read stories, guys, well, do that. So maybe that'll be up by the time you know this video has been like uploaded for 3 days. So yeah, that is enough yapping. Bye bye.